we're going to go into the Wayback Machine. And this is the 2019 class that would have been started by Mark Richt and finished by Manny Diaz at 17th in the country with 18 enrollees. 18 enrollees, that's a small class.
Again, transition classes are like that.
Okay. So
yeah.
obviously the player rating is much better than number 17.
Somewhat, but we shall see. So leading off this class, Jeremiah Payton from Duncan U. Fletcher up in Neptune Beach. This is just south of Jacksonville. So this was a big recruiting win, excuse me, as we're talking about, because this is an area and a school that does not frequently put players at the University of Miami. 6'1", 185, wide receiver, not the fastest receiver, but a pretty good technician. High school All-State, borderline All-American, things like that. Unfortunately, at Miami, never really was healthy. And when he was healthy, he never really made an impact. You're going to see the stats here in a second, which Mark kind of gave away with, his facial expressions. But, 6 catches for 58 yards and 1 carry for 7 in his entire Miami career. His redshirt year and then his freshman year. In 7 games in the 2020 season was the majority of games, by the way, because we only played, 9 or 8, I want to say. So he played in the majority of games, a lot on specials. But, you didn't get what you put out there for him. So that's another I got to give it an F in terms of return on investment of the recruitment. Raised Kane says this recruiting cycle is what made Richt retire. I mean, partially, but he also didn't have the fortitude to fire his son and change up some things on offense that had gotten stale as well. But yeah, Keontre Smith from Chaminade, safety turn linebacker, another 4-star from a legacy championship program here in South Florida, another big get. You fought off some really big time schools for him and got him to stay home, which is a really great job. Over the course of his career, he played some safety and then was like a half step slow, so that he moved to linebacker. And he played a lot, 110 tackles in 48 games, 10 TFLs, 4.5 sacks, and a pick. He didn't get the really game-changing player that you might have wanted from him. But, for 2021 and 22, when he played most of his football, that's not bad. It's a solid backup rotation, kind of a guy. And you need those guys.
Second highest rated player in the class, though, for a team
that I get it. I was getting there. I hear you. He's at the top of the class, and you're getting low end starter, high end backup output. And then he moved to linebacker in 2023 and everything. But when you have the disparity of second highest ranked player, borderline backup starter, decent rotation depth kind of option, who could play at this level. He played a lot and he played fine. I think, you got to give that a C plus, maybe. Didn't set the world on fire, but he didn't burn the house down either. Excuse me. So he was fine, but not a superstar. Jafari Harvey from Vero Beach. Again, you battled a lot of teams for him. You got him here. Started. He played a lot here, and had the opportunity to continue here in maybe a rotational role. Okay, cool. Sorry. And then was one of the many Miami Hurricanes or Miami Mustangs who went over to SMU and then had arguably, I do believe, his best season or seasons of his career out there on the north side of Dallas, or one. So yeah, so redshirted, played best year, between 21 and 22. But he, started all along that way. Started and played a lot in 23. Transfers to SMU, and does the thing. 31 tackles, 13 TFL, 7.5 sacks, which, took him 2 years, the sack numbers at Miami to get. He did have a pick six as a redshirt freshman in 21, which was fun. But yeah, this is a guy who's probably going to get drafted. I did have high praises for Jafari Harvey because I thought that he was a very, very good athlete. And he started a lot here. He wasn't the most impactful player in his starting, but he did start 20 something games for Miami. So I'm going to give that a B. Could have been better, could have been worse, but yeah, I think that he did well.
I apologize for the screen sharing. It is rough here. I don't know what the issue is here with the. That is very odd. It's taking forever for these to load.
It does that sometimes, especially, I've encountered that when I was doing the Welcome to the U's.
It's usually done fairly well for us live. But anyway.
All good. Avery Huff, 4-star linebacker from St. Thomas Aquinas, a guy that I thought was going to be foundational to developing the linebacker room and changing it in terms of upgrading the size and athleticism. And that just simply never happened here. Avery Huff stats. If we go over to his sports reference page, what's that? 8 tackles and a tackle for loss in 23 games at Miami. And it's there. And then, transfers across town, down Cayocho to FIU in 23, plays his last year, 15 tackles, a TFL, which was a sack, and that's about it. This is another F. Like, this was a blue chip All-American that we thought was going to really do well and be at the top of the roster. And it wasn't just, people in the world of recruiting. Like, there were so many times talking about, his athleticism and just looking the role and all these different kind of things. And unfortunately, never really shook. Jason Blissett from Brooklyn Poly Prep. This is when we were going up north for our defensive lineman, as you see the kind of preview still on that screen. A good-sized guy playing inside a D tackle. He was a high school basketball player up there in New York as well. Same as another guy on that screen, in this class. I think that I think he played okay.
I can't find him.
Or did he not? Oh, yeah. No, he didn't really play. He played in one game as a redshirt in 19. He had 2 tackles and a tackle for loss. And then in 8 games in 2020, which again was the entire season, had 7 tackles and no TFLs and moved on. So, yeah. This is a guy who I thought had some talent. I was higher on another guy from that area, but even as a blue chip guy, it's another F. Christian Williams, the Mike Rumpf Memorial late cycle blue chip cornerback, after we missed on all of it every freaking year. Like, we had guy after guy after guy after guy that we really wanted and we didn't get. And then out of the middle of nowhere comes a 6'1", 6'2", 4-star corner from Daphne, Alabama, Christian Williams, who, again, when you need corners and you need blue chip players and, players of the caliber that, the Miami standard on the roster, you hope and expect that he would have been one of those. Came in 2019, played in 13 games. You're like, schmoove. He did get injured, which is why he only played 2 games in 2020. And then primarily took the first thing smoking out of town, transfers to USF and plays there fairly well over the course of 2 years, 20 tackles and then 40 tackles. But yeah, this is a guy that really we wanted to have, be a guy, and I know that I said that in the previous, the 2020 class video, especially in, in the secondary and things like that. But, yeah, this is a guy that at the end, hold on, who did we, 247. Yeah, sorry, from Daphne, Alabama. Oh yeah, we beat Texas A&M and LSU for this kid. Like come on, like I know that everybody, when I said that, said, wait, what? You're expecting different when you go toe-to-toe with those teams for a player from that area at that position, and you win on signing day, remember? And then it just 7 tackles in 2 years. I know that he played on specials, mainly in 19 for those 13 games, but failure just is pervasive in this class. My God.
He was obviously a starter at South Florida. After he left, he had 40 tackles.
Yeah, no, I know he had 60 tackles in 2 years, the 20 and then the 40, had a couple interceptions, the first year there at USF, which is great. But in terms of my USF ain't Miami, what that got to do with the price of tea in China? They don't do nothing for me. You know what I mean? Like, good for him. I am very happy for him. Ain't got nothing to do with me. So yeah, I will.
I have never had this act up for me like this. Never.
Huh. I had to pause the video recording because of similar type things. I will load this up over here on my screen and continue the narrative. Jared Harrison Hunt from Christ the King in New York. Sorry, pause. Paula with a super chat. Appreciate that. Mark really blew the momentum from 2016 and 2017 in the year 2018 for the class of 2019.
Let me interject with one thing. Do we know when Mark Richt announced that he was sick, that he had physical issues? It wasn't that long after he.
He was already on ACC Network for like a year or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have my thoughts that he wasn't necessarily at his best.
No, he wasn't, and I think that he knew, and everything. And like I said it at the time, and I believe it. He knew what needed to be done, but he also knew he was no longer that version of person to do the doing. And whether that comes into effect with the health stuff and all the other things that we know and continue to wish him well through. I think that he very much knew that, and that's why he decided to step away. And yeah, like I know, like the showing symptoms before he left Miami, but like I know he put it out publicly later. But yes, Raising Cane, to your point, I believe, like he, for a lot of reasons, knew and believed, I know what needs to be done. I am not that version of that person anymore. And then boom, and then really, that year, with the quarterback rotations, and y'all know that I believe that N'Kosi Perry should have gotten the keys and just done that, and then just all different kind of things. But and this recruiting class shows how that went off the rails. But anyway, Jared Harrison Hunt, I think that he did pretty well. I was surprised when he left. Miami, because I was fully expecting him in 2024 to be, at the top of the rotation along the defensive line, defensive tackle. He worked his way in. He was a rotation guy, got injured, missed a game in 22, played 13 games, 26 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks in 23. I know it's not lighting the world on fire, but again, you're not going to have 95 tackles from defensive tackle. You're not. But a guy his size and build, I figured, and he got the extra year because of the COVID stuff and everything. So I'm like, he's going to come back in 24, and then we can have him be one of the building blocks and go forward. And then, he was another SMU Hurricane. So he goes over there, does that, and I think he was like second team all conference ish. So this is a guy who I think we got from him production requisite to his recruiting ranking. So I'll give him like a B minus, and then he goes over to SMU and has his best season as a 6th-year senior and everything, and could potentially even be a late-round draft pick. And good for him. Hey, Cameron Williams, Shamanad Madonna, let's get it. That's about as hype as I've ever been for Cameron Williams, because he didn't do anything at Miami. That Cameron Williams that I just looked up is not the one that I was looking for. I don't think that he did anything. Cam, is it this one? It is this one.
You had Chance, you had Avante
at
the same time, and Cameron Williams. Yeah, I got it right here.
He went by Cam, which I do also sometimes. But he played 1 year here and then promptly left, went to Troy, played 1 game, promptly left, went to Jacksonville State. Took a year off. I think he went to JUCO or something. Came back to Jacksonville State in 23, and then went to Georgia State last year. This is a whole bunch of nothing from him. And, this is, I know that we've taken some guys with potential along the defensive line, and they have not realized it. Cam Williams is not the only one. But he, I think, is maybe the poster child for that, because he did less than nothing. To Corey Couch, the pocket-sized cornerback. I'm going to give him a BB plus. Like, he played here for a good long time. He made the plays that were there to be made. He's 5'9". Like, you're not going to make him anything other than that. And he's, limited athletically, but, he made some plays. He was also taken advantage of at times in the passing game. And there were some times where he was out of position. But, at least 36 tackles in 4 straight years. Like, you're playing corner, you're playing slot, and played 11 games in 2019 also, because we needed him to come and play. But this is a kid who played 60 games almost in 5 years. Like, you get a lot of production. It wasn't always, everybody's All-American or anything, but, 58 games, 21 PBUs, 156 tackles, 2.5 sacks, as, Mighty Mouse in the slot and everything. Like, I'm going to give him a solid BB plus.
3 picks his last year.
Yeah, man. Like, and I know that there were issues, and I belabored some of those issues because, like, he was on the Summer Jam screen because, like, even a 6-foot wide receiver had him by multiple inches of height. But I think probably one of the better players from this class. Zion Nelson, famously 6'5", 240 when he signed. This is a former 2-star who had been committed to Appalachian State, I believe it was. And then comes in here, starts as a true freshman at the left side, was on the Miami offensive line that gave up 11 million sacks to Florida in that opener 19. I think it was 12 to be exact. And, continued to be the left tackle for this team, and then had a fairly significant catastrophic knee injury. And it's been 3 years of trying to get back on the field. He is finally 5 years later, 6 years later, transferred to SMU, where Rhett Lashley, continues to have every Miami Hurricane alum basically over there. And they're talking about maybe next year, as in like 26. Same thing that they're talking about with Tyler Van Dyke, of bringing him in, getting him ready, and then seeing what's next for him. I just think with that knee injury, that was the end of his career. When he had every update about him for years was about a different setback with his knee. At a certain point, we all got to go pro in something other than sports. And I think that he had a nice little moment there where he played. I think he was on a trajectory where he could have been actually a fairly decent NFL draft pick. I don't know, maybe first round, but, after starting for 3 years, he was on that kind of track towards the NFL. Knee injury, and that is it. Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a BB minus, because he played a lot, varying results, but he did get better over the course of time. So I'll give him a solid B. And then, that knee injury just shut everything down. So unfortunate. Sam Brooks, this is a guy whose knee injury was in high school and basically curtailed any of his college production and potential. After the knee injury, he just really was never the same. This is a guy who rushed off the edge in high school, played linebacker, 18 tackles as a freshman in 19. Cool. Best year, obviously, 2020, 37 tackles, 2 TFLs and a sack, and 2 PBUs in 2020. Yo, okay, cool. And then the injuries resurfaced, and that was the end of the road. So, I mean, for that one season in 2020, I'd give him a B. But holistically, I got to give it a D like dog, just because you got barely anything from him, unfortunately.
Our next guy up, if I can
Adam
get this.
El Gamal from New York. He was the third New York guy. He was Jared Harrison Hunt's teammate at Christ the King, both on the football gridiron and on the hardwood. This was a developmental tackle who never developed. And I mean, I know good for both of them that they were able to raise a K. Who? Yeah. Adam El Gamal. He was on the roster. I wrote the piece and everything and said maybe, down the line it'll be, 3-4 years. But he never played. I don't think he played a single. Well, no, I think he played maybe in the HBCU beatdown game of a year or something. But nah. Larry Hodges, undersized tight end, 6'1.5", might even be generous. Didn't something happen with him?
I don't remember the rest of these guys except for the quarterback.
But he didn't do. Larry Hodges.
He caught 3 passes in his career, and this is difficult to do, Cam. 3 receptions, 1 yard. And 2 touchdowns. So look at this stat line.
Sheesh.
Because he caught 2 passes for 3 yards and 2 touchdowns as a freshman. 2 catches, 3 yards, 2 touchdowns, but then he had a catch for negative 2.
Negative yards. Yeah.
He might be the only player in the history of college football with more touchdowns than yards receiving.
Yeah.
That could be.
And he just, never amounted to anything.
That's quite the distinction.
Yeah. I mean, if we're digging down there and saying he had more touchdown catches than yards, it just that's another F. Paulo, as you're looking at the next one, I forgot how much Manny and Richt love the undersized players. Hey, man, when you're unable to recruit head-to-head against the big boys for, prototype bodies, you gotta do that kind of stuff. The quarterback, in this class. Peyton Matoka from Houston St. Thomas. He was like the Houston Small Schools co-player of the year. There was like I forget the kid's name, but he went to Alabama at quarterback, I want to say, who was the Small Schools Houston Player of the Year along with him. He was never going to be a player here and never did play here. Yeah, he was a program body, if nothing else, and honestly, nothing else. So you got to take a quarterback in a class. You got to have arms, for practice and whatnot. But yeah, that was tremendo yikes there. Jalar Holly.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we started with 18 enrollees, and it seems like we've been going through like 45 players.
Mm-hmm. And it just because we're scraping the barrel trying to remember.
Yeah, I guess when they're no good. Yeah,
right.
That's rough.
Miami had recruited Spencer Rattler. He was the 5-star in that class. Obviously did not come here. Sam Howell, Graham Mertz. Remember him? And there was Lance Legendre from New Orleans, Warren Easton, that there were several people who were like beating in the comments. I remember this. They wanted this kid. He was like a left-handed scrambling quarterback and ended up going to Maryland, and people wanted him so badly.
Yeah.
And this was the year. Yes, this was the year that Miami pushed everything to the center with the Richt Jr., the son Richt at quarterback coach, and sent him out to Eugene, Oregon every single week to go recruit Michael Johnson Jr. at quarterback on the PJ. Y'all remember that? Every week they sent him out there because we wanted the one quarterback in this class and didn't get him, and he went to Penn State. And you're looking at Peyton Matoka. That is your Michael Johnson Jr. sized hole in this class. We went all in on a dude, didn't get him, and then we're like, cool, whatever. And he was never, ever, ever, ever going to play here at Miami. Jalar Holly, the thing that we know most about him, was dancing on the sideline while Miami lost football games. Number 98, doing all those dancing the jig over there from Buford, Georgia. Transferred out and did nothing. Osman Traore played rotationally on the offensive line, coming from Hutchinson Community College. Cool, whatever. Jalar Holly, that's an F. Peyton Matoka, that's an F. Osman Traore, maybe a C- or a D. Ja'Kai Clark, this is a good get. This is a undersized guy. Loganville Grayson, he played here. He started some games along the offensive line, played rotationally, and then, like so many others from this roster and in this class, was an SMU Hurricane, transferred over to SMU, starts on center this year for them, and was like second team all conference. So probably BB plus for him, and then probably maybe A- for his career if you're taking into account what he did elsewhere. But yeah, Ja'Kai Clark he doesn't fit the mold of what Miami's looking at right now on offensive line, but overall, he had a solid career. I would say one of the biggest wins from this class, the former housing construction worker and Bali tattoo salon owner himself, Lou Hedley, from Pro Kick Australia, went to the City College of San Francisco, and then came over here and was an All-American, the Ray Guy Award semifinalist and finalist, and arguably the best punter in America for 4 years. He came in at like 28. Like, he was like married with a kid. He used to do construction in the Australian outback. He moved to Bali, owned a tattoo parlor for years, which is why he's tatted everywhere from his jawline down, apparently, and everything. And look at the numbers. Like, did yeoman's work, man. Like, the shortest average he had in the season was 44 yards a kick, like a 43.9 for those who are being sticklers. But yeah, Lou Hedley, I would have to say, among the biggest wins in this recruiting class, and is punting in the league. So yeah, a triple plus, to take out good, bad, and ugly grades. Like, I don't know that you can get that or get much better than that. So, yeah, no, that's a huge, huge, huge recruiting win that worked out even better than we might have thought. And that brings us to the end. But also in this class, we did get transfers. Chigozie Naruka played on the defensive line. Asa Martin never played here. He played like one practice and then left. Jalen Phillips ended up being a first-round draft pick. That'll work. Trevon Hill from Virginia Tech ended up being drafted as well. Bubba Bolden, KJ Osborne also ended up, KJ Osborne just got another contract in the league. Bubba Bolden was the best defender in America for 2 weeks and then fell off. Tommy Kennedy was a FCS All-American and never played a snap here. And I saved the best for last. One Tathan Martell, number 18. Good old Tate himself transferred here and did less than nothing. And to Leroy the Black Ninja Turtles' point, looking back, we can see why we went 7-5 most of these years. Classes didn't hit, didn't develop, and we just missed on so many guys. Like, just looking, I mean, like John Emery, who's going for his 7th year, and what's the name? One of the worst humans to ever live. Brian Kelly kicked him off of LSU's team because he wouldn't make room for him. Trey Sanders from IMG went after, missed. Noah Kane, when he was from Texas and then moved to IMG, we were leading, didn't get him. DJ Williams, the running back who went to Auburn, didn't get him. Marcus Crowley, we had committed, and he flipped Ohio State. Cool. Ches Malusi, who went to Clemson. Cool. We didn't go after Naquan Wright for real, and then he ran like a 4.2 flat or whatever. No, he was like a 4.38 at their pro day up at UF. This is the Jaden Hazelwood year that I mentioned last week. Kyle Ford, we were trying to push there, and he paid us dust. George Pickens was in the same recruiting class. He's going into like year 4 in the league, and some of these dudes are like still in college. This was the Frank Ladson year. This was the Tyreek Stevenson year, right? And I know that he transferred like all like the whiffs in this class as I'm going down the offer list. Like, I mean, we did also on the list offer Jamison Williams out of high school, didn't get anywhere. Ramel Keaton, who went to Tennessee. I'm on the just the wide receivers right now. John Dunmore from Chaminade, who ended up going to Penn State. Like, yeah, it struggle bus season. I mean, and like that's just quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. I didn't even really get into all the other misses in this class. If I scroll down on these offers real quick, that was Keon Zipperer and what's the name? Lloyd Summerall in that same class, I want to say. Yeah. Who did we miss on? I just want to see a cornerback. Scroll. 14 offers. Kyer Elam, Akeem Dent, Travis J, Joey Porter Jr., Jaden Davis. We missed on that same class. Yeah, it was rough. Jordan Battle in that. I'm sorry. I know I should hit the microphone. I'll leave it here. I remember I worked with Jordan Battle, his dad, and at Deerfield Beach Senior High School. And I remember seeing this kid at like 4 and 5 years old, and all he wanted to do was play football. He loved the Miami Hurricanes, and dad was a huge Hurricane and everything, and told that man to his face, your son is too small, your son is unathletic, your son is soft, and he will never play here. And he goes to Alabama, was a first-round NFL draft pick. And we tried to circle back later, just like I told the story about trying to call Sky Moore literally while he's on the stage at American Heritage for his recruiting ceremony. Man, I'm gonna have to go back through this. There are so many whiffs in this class that yeah. I mean, and it's just and the thing is, everybody knew. All he wanted was to put that U on. All he wanted. And yeah, it just yikes. That off the top of the dome, not having watched back the other recaps that we've done, that might be the worst one so far. And there's been some other bad ones, but like 2019, that class, yikes.
Is the best player in the class probably the best
Lou
player in
Hedley.
the class? Wouldn't it be Jared Harrison Hunt or
Lou Hedley?
Yeah. Well, he's by far the best player at his position. But if you're looking at the rest of the field outside of the special teams, the specialists, it's Harrison Hunt
I would
or it's
say
Corey
Harrison Hunt.
Couch. Yeah.
I would say, yeah, Harrison Hunt and Couch, probably neck and neck. I would give it to Harrison Hunt.
Jafari Harvey.
Honorable mention. Yeah, I would say those three just because they started and played a lot. But yeah, there just wasn't anything like, yeah, real bad. Real bad. So, when we get guys in like with Mario Cristobal and company recruiting, we can see how things are different. And I mean, obviously it's too close to like go back to like last year's class or the year before, but just like look at this is why I keep, pushing this forward on this channel. And we're going to wrap up right now. I know we've gone long and I appreciate you guys staying here, but it's just different. Guys look different. You don't have the Takori Couches of the world. You don't have your 5'9" corners. You don't have your 6'1" tight ends. Well, we do have a 6'1" tight end, but he's super athlete. So exception, with Elijah Lofton. You know what I mean? But it's just like we're just the bodies that we're getting and the teams that we're getting them from, instead of just saying like, oh, well, we wanted a guy and he went to, you're going to lose guys. I'm not saying you're going to get everybody, but just like this roster looks different. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's trending in the right direction and I'm very excited about it. But like, yeah, going in the Wayback Machine to some of these recruiting classes, tremendo yikes. But hey, man.
I have fun doing it because I think of players that we talked about on this show week after week after week after week in anticipation as to are you going to get this player? Are we going to get them? And then they sign, and there's always usually this great expectation that these guys are going to come through. But
yeah, I mean, that's the hope and goal, and it hasn't necessarily done as much as we needed to do. But moving forward, hopefully, we continue to hit the level of performance that we need. To Juan Manuel's point, we have a Takori Couch right now in the house in Charles Brantley. He is an undersized corner, but he's also played better elsewhere, like at Michigan State. And to Kenson's retort, I believe that Brantley is better than Couch, and I agree. Both of them being South Florida natives, because Brantley's from up the road a little bit. But yeah, they are similarly sized. But when you bring in Brantley as the one, he's played, as Kenson says, more than 1,000 snaps. You have him as the one small guy who you intend to play inside, and then not put him outside, because we put Corey Couch outside also, which was a big issue. But then when you're getting Xavier Lucas, who's like 6'1", 6'2", Ethan O'Connor, Emmanuel Kernley, all those dudes are 6'2" or taller, right? And then you get, Chris Ewald, who's a 6'1", you get Jabari Antoine, who's 6'1", in the same recruiting class. It's very different than like the entire defensive back room being 5'9" to 5'10", with instead the entire room being 6'1" or taller, and you have the one outlier, but who's done it at the power 4 level already. So slightly different. And the Falconer TRX, I don't know if I've thrown it up today, so let me throw the X up for you. There we go, brother. X was not highly rated or recruited in terms of Xavier Restrepo. He was in the last class that we reviewed last week and did make that point. And yeah. So TLDR, just the recap. JJ Sparks from Jacksonville Bulls committed to Miami today. Will be writing the Welcome to the UPs, which goes up on stateoftheu.com. Please come over and fan with us 24/7, 365. All Canes all the time, always free.